The bag says real mashed potatoes. The front panel shows a steaming bowl, golden yellow, with a pat of butter melting right in the center. It looks warm. It looks homemade. It looks like something your grandmother would have made on a Sunday afternoon. Flip the bag. Butylated hydroxyanisole, sodium acid pyrophosphate, mono and diglycerides of fatty acids, artificial flavor, silicon dioxide. These are not kitchen ingredients. These are the outputs of a food engineering lab, and they are sitting in a bag that cost you $4 and called itself real. Americans spend over $2 billion every single year on instant mashed potatoes. $2 billion. And a staggering share of that money does not go to a potato farmer. It goes to the emulsifier supplier. It goes to the artificial flavor house. It goes to the shelf life engineers who figured out how to make a product last 2 years without refrigeration and still look appetizing on a supermarket shelf. Think about what that means for a moment. You walk into a store. You see a bowl of golden, buttery mashed potatoes on the packaging. You feel comfort. You feel convenience. That entire experience, the color, the aroma cue, the nostalgia, was designed in a lab, not a kitchen. I spent 3 weeks auditing every brand on the shelf to find the truth, and the results were not what I expected. Today, we are exposing 5 brands you should walk past, and revealing 5 that actually contain what the label promises: a potato. Here's the thing about a real potato. It is one ingredient. You peel it, you cook it, you dry it at a controlled low temperature, you flake it. That is it. When manufacturers do that correctly, the product list reads dehydrated potato, but that clean process requires high-grade potato solids, and high-grade potato solids eat into the margin. So the industry developed a workaround. The math reality looks like this. To manufacture 1 serving of real dehydrated mashed potato, you need roughly 140 grams of raw russet potato, processed cleanly. That costs money. But if you dilute the potato content with corn syrup solids for body, add mono and diglycerides to simulate the creamy texture that real potato fat would have provided, spray in BHA to stop the added vegetable oil from going rancid, and finish with artificial butter flavor to fake the dairy note. You have just cut your raw material costs significantly while charging the same $4 on the shelf. That is not food innovation. That is margin optimization disguised as a recipe. There is also a legal architecture that makes all of this possible. The FDA does not require a minimum potato solid percentage for a product to be labeled mashed potatoes. The USDA's commodity specification for dehydrated potato products permits up to 600 parts per million of sulfur dioxide as a preservative. Courts have consistently upheld the "made with real potatoes" claim as long as some measurable percentage of potato is present. The ingredient list is technically accurate, the front label is technically legal, and the consumer is technically left holding a chemistry experiment in a cardboard box. The skip list, brand 1, Betty Crocker, butter and herb. The Betty Crocker name carries decades of kitchen credibility. General Mills has spent enormous marketing budgets making sure it stays that way. But flip the box on the butter and herb variety and the ingredient list tells a very different story. Mono and diglycerides of fatty acids. BHA, sodium acid pyrophosphate. Artificial flavor listed ahead of any real dairy component. The butter in the name is not butter. It is artificial flavor, engineered in a lab to trigger the same sensory response as real butter at a fraction of the cost. The front label sells nostalgia. The ingredient list sells chemistry. You are paying for the name, the warm packaging, and the decades of brand trust. The ingredient list funds none of that. Brand 2, Idaho and original mashed potatoes, flavored varieties. Idahoan carries geographic authority. Idaho means potatoes. The branding is calculated and effective, but the flavored varieties in the Idahoan lineup introduce maltodextrin, corn syrup solids, and dipotassium phosphate, a buffering salt used to stabilize texture, not to enhance flavor. Corn syrup solids in mashed potatoes. Read that again. There is no culinary reason to add a corn derivative to a potato product. It is a cost reduction tool, and it is sitting right there in the ingredient list if you choose to look. The original label implies simplicity. The ingredient list does not agree. Brand 3, Hungry Jack. Hungry Jack goes one step further than most. It adds artificial color, specifically yellow 5. a petroleum-derived azo dye, to make the dry flakes look golden and buttery before you even add water. This is the most transparent form of deception in this entire category. Real dehydrated potato flakes are off-white to pale cream. They look like flour. There is nothing visually appealing about them in dry form. So the manufacturers add yellow 5 to simulate the appearance of buttered potatoes before the consumer has done anything at all. The villain ingredients here are yellow 5, BH8, silicon dioxide, and sodium acid pyrophosphate. Silicon dioxide, for reference, is an anti-caking agent derived from sand. Not one of these is a food in the traditional sense. Brand 4, great value. Instant mashed potatoes. Walmart's house brand makes a direct price to value promise, affordable convenience, and it fails on the value half of that equation. Mono and diglycerides, artificial flavor, a BHA in the added vegetable oil, a sodium acid pyrophosphate. For a product positioned as a budget staple, the ingredient engineering is remarkably intensive. The irony is that a genuinely clean ingredient potato flake product costs no more on the shelf, which means the additives are not here to lower the price. They are here to lower the manufacturing standard while keeping the retail margin intact. This is the brand that multiple independent taste tests have ranked at or near the bottom of the category, not just on ingredients, but on the actual mashed potato experience those ingredients produce. Cheap and low quality is a combination no consumer deserves. Brand 5, Ore-Ida Steam and Mash, processed variants. Ore-Ida built its brand on the promise of real potatoes. The name is literally a portmanteau of Oregon and Idaho, two of America's premier potato growing states. That heritage is the marketing anchor, but the processed variants in the steam and mash line include citric acid, disodium dihydrogen pyrophosphate, sodium acid pyrophosphate, and natural flavor, a regulatory catch-all that can legally include hundreds of undisclosed chemical compounds as long as they originate from a natural source. Natural flavor is not a flavor. It is a legal category designed to keep formulations proprietary and consumers uninformed. The potato heritage is real. The current ingredient engineering is the part they do not put in the advertisement. Before we get to the brands that actually pass this audit, I want to give you a tool, something you can use in your own kitchen right now before you spend another dollar. There are 3 tests. They take 30 seconds combined. The first is the 3 ingredient rule. Flip the box and count the ingredients. 1, 2, 3. If the list runs past 3 items, you are not buying a potato product. You are buying a formulated food system that happens to contain some potato. 3 ingredients maximum: potato, salt, maybe 1 real dairy component. Anything beyond that is engineering, not food. The second is the color test. Open the container and pour a small amount of the dry powder onto a white plate. Real dehydrated potato flakes are off-white, pale, cream-colored at most. If what you see is golden or yellow in dry form, that color was put there by a chemist. Artificial color in a dry potato product is a direct admission that the product does not look like food without chemical intervention. The third is the cold water test. Drop a small spoonful into a glass of cold water and stir once. Real potato flakes dissolve loosely and settle at the bottom. A product built on emulsifiers, gums, and pyrophosphates will begin to form a paste immediately. The chemical binders activate on contact with any liquid. That paste texture in cold water is the fingerprint of a heavily engineered product. Remember it. The real list. Brand 1, Bob's Red Mill Potato Flakes. 1 ingredient, dehydrated potato. That is the entire label. Bob's Red Mill has operated since 1978 on a manufacturing philosophy that treats minimal processing as a feature, not a limitation. Their potato flakes are drum-dried at controlled temperatures, packaged without preservatives, and sold without a single additive. The product is also priced in the same range as the additive-loaded competition. There is no premium for doing it right here. That alone should tell you everything about the industry's choices. Brand 2, Edward and Sons Organic Mashed Potatoes. 3 ingredients: organic potato flakes, organic onion, sea salt. Certified organic. The Edward & Sons brand was built on the explicit principle that convenience food should not require a chemistry background to evaluate. Their mashed potatoes prove that a satisfying, shelf-stable product is entirely achievable without BHA, without emulsifiers, and without artificial flavor. 3 ingredients, 0 compromises. Brand 3, simply balanced Target. Target's Clean Label House brand delivers dehydrated potato flakes without BHA, without artificial color, and without added emulsifiers. It is priced competitively with every chemical-laden brand on this list. This is the value play of the real list, affordable, accessible proof that the additives in the skip list brands were never about cost. They were about manufacturing standard. Simply, balance sets a higher one. Brand 4, Trader, Joe's Instant Mashed Potatoes. Potato flakes, salt. That is the full Trader Joe's ingredient list. No sodium acid pyrophosphate, no artificial flavor, no emulsifiers. Trader Joe's private label model allows them to set their own quality floor, and on this product, they chose to set it high. At their price point, there is no longer any argument, not even a theoretical one, that eating clean costs more. Brand 5, Anthony's Goods Potato Flakes. Single ingredient, non-GMO verified, sold in bulk with a per-serving cost that is among the lowest in the entire category when purchased at volume. Anthony's Goods emerged from the bulk natural food sourcing movement where the entire value proposition is transparency. 1 ingredient, third-party verified, nothing hidden, nothing engineered. It is the purest expression of what this product category was always supposed to be. These 5 brands share one defining characteristic. They all trusted that a potato is enough. Here is what this audit proves. The additives in the skip list brands are not there because manufacturing clean potato flakes is too difficult. It is not. 5 brands on this very list do it at the same price point, at the same scale, and with better results. The additives are there because the corporations behind those brands decided that engineering a cheaper formulation was worth more to their margin than your trust. That is a choice. It is not a necessity. Your comfort food is not a commodity for these corporations to engineer. The bowl on the front of the package represents a standard these brands have quietly stopped meeting while continuing to charge you as though they still do. The ingredient list is public. The law requires it to be on every package. You now have 3 tools to read it in 30 seconds. The 3 ingredient rule, the color test, the cold water test. Use them every single time. The label tells the truth if you know how to read it. Subscribe to Taste It and Test It. Because this is only one category. The industry runs the same playbook on bread, on cheese, on olive oil, on protein bars. We are auditing all of it, one product at a time. You have the right to know what is in your food.